Okay, y'all. So I'm about to review this video that the angry biracial did. Now, I told y'all that occupational licenses do not benefit the public. The whole purpose of occupational licenses is to create a barrier to entry, to create an artificial scarcity of services so that they can, it's basically economic protection. They can charge fees, and by limiting competition, then you basically don't have a choice but to pay it. So, within the practice of law, lawyers have given themselves a monopoly, and it is against the law in every state in America. It is actually a felony to engage in an unauthorized practice of law. So, if you want to hire someone who's not an attorney, that would actually be a crime. You can't even hire someone who's not licensed in your state. So if there's an attorney who's licensed in another state, but they actually know what they're doing, they cannot represent you in another state. They have to actually apply to get permission to represent you for a limit on a limited case by case basis. They cannot practice law, even though the law may be identical or very similar in a different state. So this is about economic protection. It is not just for the public safety. I don't even think it's for the public safety at all. But I've been talking to y'all about this. When I talk about this, people say, I don't know, they get dismissive, right? They think that it's just about me. It's just about I want to practice. No, this whole issue, it affects everybody. If I don't have the right to practice law, if other Black law graduates or other graduates who I don't know didn't pass, because it's not just Black, it's also based on language barriers and those who are immigrants. So race, immigration, and language barriers. Those things will cause you to be more likely to fail a bar exam. But um, even aside from that, there are people who are paralegals who actually know what they're doing because they've been doing it for many years. They also don't have the right to assist. There are some states where you can get a document preparer to prepare certain documents, particularly in domestic cases. But beyond that, no, you're not going to get anybody who's not an attorney. And God, there's so much that I want to talk to y'all about, but I don't want to overload y'all in one video. But what I will say, just quickly as an aside, that even in criminal cases, criminal prosecutions did not used to be prosecuted by attorneys. Criminal cases were prosecuted by private citizens. Now, private citizens don't have the authority to prosecute criminal cases. Now you have to wait and beg the district attorney or uh, attorney general to prosecute the case. So the state, that's why I say that the whole problem with the state being the party, that's the whole problem with statism. The state should not be the party. The actual aggrieved defendant, or I'm sorry, the aggrieved party should be prosecuting that case on their own. The state does not have standing. You are the one who were violated. You and your daughter should be the one bringing the case. You should not have to depend on the discretion of a prosecutor, of a licensed attorney who's a political animal who's trying to seek reelection and does not necessarily have your best interest in mind. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started on this video because I do have some things to say.
Biracial back with another video. Man, I'm extremely annoyed right now. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I feel kind of hopeless, kind of powerless. For those who haven't watched the video of Predator in My Home, I'll leave a link below so you can get caught up to speed on what I'm talking about. But to make a long story short, I took him.
Um, and I know he's going through his personal stuff, but I just want to say this because I said this in my last video. He's not the only one going through this. This happens to people all day, every day. And not just with sexual assault. This happens with other areas of law. People feel powerless, people feel violated because for me, the city destroyed my property, and when I sue them, they claim sovereign immunity. So I feel violated. I feel powerless. But when I talk about this, who's coming to my aid? If nobody's going to come to my aid, then what happens is everyone's acting as individuals. It's every man for himself. So when you want help, then people are also going to turn a blind eye and it's going to fall on deaf ears.
A foster kid. He's been in my home for the past 5 years. I took this kid out of the Massachusetts Department of Family Services, and I specifically asked him if he had any history of being SA'd or any type of acting out in that manner. They said no. They went through the entire long, drawn-out process to make sure my house was a safe house to have a foster kid. They did an interstate compact. They checked my house, checked my background, checked my wife's background, checked my finances, went through everything. We got approved and they sent them here to me. And he ended up essaying 2 of my daughters. I go into full detail in the video of Predator in my home. Again, I'll link it below. Go ahead and watch that. He's out of my house. I went to court, and it seems like the court don't want to do shit because he's a minor. And now I can't find a lawyer to take the case. I spent the past month calling almost every lawyer in the fucking country, and I get the same response. Oh, I'm very sorry that...
I mean, if he's a minor, if the law is that a minor cannot be held morally or legally culpable, then it is what it is. Then the judge doesn't have any discretion to hold the minor accountable. If it's not even on the judge, it's on the prosecutor. Is the prosecutor even willing? Again, I don't even know the law of your state, so I can't say. But this is really a political issue. You need to put political pressure on that district attorney. You can file a criminal complaint and see what happens, but you need to call your elected officials. You need to call your state representative, your senator, and put pressure on that district attorney to prosecute this minor. That's what, and you need to get a public outcry in your support. You need to have some type of demonstration outside. There needs to be political ramifications because these are political actors. Stop looking at this about what's fair. No, these people they're in it for themselves. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a shit about their constituents. What they care about is re-election. That is a social contract. When I sit up here and I talk about all this boring minutia, nobody wants to listen to it, but I'm explaining to you how the system works.
That happened to you. It definitely sounds like you have a case, but this is not the type of law that we handle.
And I've talked about this too. I've gone through the same thing when I try to hire an attorney. Oh, you have a case. What that means? Let me tell y'all a specific example. When I was about to sue the Bar Association, I went to the EEOC. This attorney told me, oh, I took on ExxonMobil, and even I would not take on a bar association. I contacted every organization, every so-called civil rights, the ACLU, the Institute for Justice, the NAACP. I contacted everybody, and they gave me the runaround. They said, and then I contacted state officials. They said this is a federal issue. I contacted the my senator, my congressman. They said, oh, this is a state issue. So I got the complete runaround. I contacted every organization imaginable, and then I ended up having to do it myself. Now, the long story short is the reason why nobody wants to get involved is because this was a political issue, not a legal issue. Meaning, even though the law is completely on your side, no court is going to rule in your favor. What is that doctrine called? It's a political question. Judges, I guess this isn't a political question, but at the end of the day, it's going to have political consequences, and they don't want to deal with it. And they're protected with sovereign immunity. So you can't sue them just because they lie. And I'm going to come back and tell you the law on that in a second after you explain what happened.
I called the Bar Association. I waited on hold for a long time. I paid the fucking fee just to get...
They're not going to help you. They're not here to represent or to help you. The purpose or the role of the Bar Association is to drum up clients for attorneys, to give them business. It's not for you. You pay that, man, you're literally paying for your own impression. You pay the Bar Association to get you an attorney, and they're not even there for you. They're there for the attorneys. That is a club so that to help them to siphon wealth from the public.
The same response. The state lied to me about this boy. It's unfortunate that little boy has endured a lot of SA.
And unfortunately, lying is not against the law. In order to abrogate qualified immunity, which I'm not even sure, it may actually be it may actually be sovereign immunity depending on who you're suing. But you can sue state actors. Qualified immunity, they have to be a violation of clearly established law, and they would have to act in bad faith. Both elements have to be met. Um, Now, their argument would be we did not act in bad faith because we were doing what was in the best interest of the child, which was to place them into a home, and they did not violate the law. So, when you're suing somebody, there has to be a duty. There has um, you have to have a duty, a breach, causation, and damages. They don't necessarily. Unfortunately, the state does not necessarily have a duty. But even that, which I'm going to get into, 42 USC 1983, a state actor would have to violate the law, clearly established law, under color of law. Um, but even that is not so clear cut. 42 US, that's how you sue, because you can't sue the state directly. They're protected with sovereign immunity. You have to sue state actors under 42 USC 1983. And even that is just a lot of minutia, a lot of rigmarole. It's very difficult to sue them. You might as well say qualified immunity is absolute immunity because that's how they treat it.
But we all know a lot of SA victims turn around and SA other people because that's all they know. And that's why I specifically asked him if he had that in his background, if he was ever SA'd, if he had any type of acting out in that area. They said no. They knew I had daughters. Part of their extensive background check on me and my wife is knowing the other kids in my home. They knew I had daughters. But because my family was the best fit for him, they lied. And because they lied, my daughters had to suffer.
That's going to be difficult to prove. You'd have to show actual knowledge. You'd have to have some kind of documented proof that they actually knew. It can't be speculative. Proving mens rea is very difficult. You can't prove what they actually knew. So, um, that's going to be very difficult. And even getting discovery is a nightmare because if they're claiming immunity, then you don't even get discovery. So you don't even get to depose them. You get nothing. If you don't have evidence going into the case, then it's going to be dismissed.
And now every time I turn around, I'm getting spit in my face. The courts don't want to do shit to him. All the lawyers that I call are giving me the fucking runaround. I'm thinking because they're too scared to take on the state. I know they lied because
Um, yeah, because if you go against the state, then they can literally destroy your entire career. Which I didn't know. I was very naive I didn't understand how this legal system works. You cannot take on the state. Your reputation is everything. You can actually be disbarred if you piss off the wrong people or be denied a law license in the first place. So, um, yeah, they're not going to stick their necks out for you. You really, I'm sorry, y'all. When you have a child, really, this is really on you. You really have to be your children's advocate. You can't rely on lawyers and doctors to protect your children. That falls on you. You need to educate yourself. And I know everybody can't know everything, but at the end of the day, it's still your responsibility. You need to do the best you can. And really, this would be a community endeavor. Like, we basically should be looking out for each other. There should be somebody that you could call within the community who knows the law. There should be somebody who knows something about medicine. There should be someone who knows about accounting. But the way it works is there's always one person who knows everything, right? So let's say somebody like me, everybody who I know is always defer to me when it comes to legal matters, but I can't defer to any of them because they don't know shit. So I'm not saying everybody needs to know everything, but everybody should know something.
I called that little boy's mother. It wasn't hard to go through all the old court papers and find her name. And she told me all kinds of horrible shit that that little boy went through and that she reported to the state. Where is the justice? My daughters.
Gosh, you actually believe that this system is fair? I mean, I mean, it's almost as if, gosh, and I don't mean to be insensitive, but it's almost as if he had no awareness of how unjust the system was until something happened to him. Where were you when this shit was going on to other people? Right? Where were you? You are not the first person that this has happened to. I guarantee it.
Have to live with this for the rest.
And before I forget, if you want to know how this would turn out, my advice would be to go online and look up whatever agency that was that did this to them, to your daughters. Go online, look up the case law, and look at the outcomes. I guarantee everyone who has sued them, their cases were dismissed with prejudice because of some kind of immunity. So that's going to be a precursor for how your case would turn out. If you want to put yourself through this, fine. But I want you to know I don't need to be a psychic to tell you that you are absolutely going to lose. When people told me that I was going to lose, I didn't listen because I said, oh, well, the law says this. The law says they can't do that. And I was so adamant about the law. No, I had a rude awakening that the law does not mean shit. This is a political system, not a legal one. Judges and attorneys are political animals, just like everybody else.
Of their fucking lives. And I have to deal with the guilt knowing this happened on my watch under my roof. And since I can't wring that little fucker's neck, I have to just sit here and be fucking angry and do my best to be there for my daughters. I don't know much about the law. I know about breaking the law. In my past, I broke the law a lot. But this area of the law, I don't know shit about.
It's about time you learn. I mean, again, everybody can't know everything, but at the very least, I would say everybody should learn how to research. If you know how to research, then you can pretty much find information on anything. And that is a skill set that I have. I don't know anything about medical stuff, but I do know how to research. I can find the information. So, and I do know how to cite and all that stuff. So, that is a basic skill that I think everybody should have. But I guess these are things that you have to think about when it comes to parenting. Like, it's not just food and shelter, right? The legal issues, the medical issues. I don't want to say too much right now because I know he's going, but for those of you who don't have children, you need to think about this stuff. That you need to think about what is going to happen if a situation like this happens to you. What skills do you have to protect your children? You can't defer to other people because they're not going to help you. You have to be the one to do it.
Since I can't find an attorney anywhere that would take the fucking case, I'm Googling how to file a fucking lawsuit. I don't know why they protect these fucking predators so much. I get it, he was a victim. That doesn't give him a right to victimize my daughters.
That doesn't mean anything. You can sue. Well, he's a minor. You can't even sue him for damages. You can't. No, no. This is a criminal matter. The only filing a lawsuit is not going to do shit. He doesn't have any money. He's a minor, and any money, even if you could sue his parents, but he wasn't even in their care. As far as I don't know all the facts of this case, but I don't think you could even sue his parents. This is really a criminal matter. The only thing you can do is put pressure on that district attorney to prosecute this case. That's all you can do.
I was a victim when I was a little boy in the system too. My mother was a fucking crackhead who sold me for a bag of crack, and she watched and recorded as grown men essayed me. I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, and I remember going to the hospital, to the ER, to get stitches. Being a victim doesn't give you the right to victimize other people.
I'm sorry, and I know this happening. This is very personal, but if you're going to represent yourself, you have to be dispassionate. I don't think that you can represent yourself when you're so connected to this and you're so emotional about it. That would be a mistake. You're going to spend all these fees, right? First of all, they're going to dismiss it. You can appeal and appeal. You can file motions to recuse. You can do all this stuff. Take it from somebody who's been down this road. You're not going to win. The only thing you can do is go to that district attorney, get a public outcry, put pressure on him. I guess he probably was just reelected. We just went through election season, but um, that's really the only thing you can do. Um, yeah, I can't think of anything else, but there's a reason why those attorneys are not returning your calls. There's a reason why they're not going to take your case. They already know that they can't win, and they already know that it's going to put a stain on their reputation. So they're not going to come out and say that because they already know how corrupt the system is. They all know. Anybody who's been in the practice of law for more than 5 minutes knows that this entire system is corrupt. It's not about the law. It's all about rubbing elbows and doing fees and making money. It's all about power. It's not about the law at all. The law is just an instrument of oppression. You use the law to get the result that you want. But gosh, um, I wish people really understood how this legal system really works. It's like a chess game. It's not um it's nothing like people think it actually is. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get off this video. I think I'm sorry that this happened to him or to his daughters, but you definitely can't sue the state because they have immunity. The only person you probably could sue would be the parents, but you have to show that they were negligent in some kind of way. I don't know. I don't know what to do, what to tell you. Only thing I can say to those who are listening, this is the reason why we need to get rid of all governmental immunity. We need to get rid of qualified immunity, judicial immunity, prosecutorial immunity, all of that. It needs to go out the window.